these are my current Amazon Subscribe and Save subscription. They are consisting out of two parts. The first are the supplements. In this case, it's a multivitamin, it's creatine, it's omega-3 fatty acids, and turmeric. I then also have ingredients for my meal shakes. Now I make kind of custom meal shakes, and this is an attempt to try to optimize my nutrition for time, but also for health. And this seems to be the somewhat most practical way. I still eat lots of normal food, but this is just whenever I think I can now replace a little bit of this and save maybe 20 minutes by doing this as a meal shake, a meal. Now, in the past I tried other meal shakes as well, so basically pre-made meal shakes, but the problem with these seemed to be that my body's needs could not be met in a very marginal manner, one could say. So over the long period of time, maybe the ingredients, the macro and the micronutrients of a meal shake would average out for my body's needs. But if after sauna, for example, after sauna, I was mumbling a little bit there, I, for example, needed electrolytes, and my body seems to then often seek out a cucumber, maybe a tomato, maybe a salad, and if I then just have fuel and nothing else, then I cannot fulfill this nutrient need. So it seems to be the case that cookie cutter solution without too many options also does not allow basically the body over time to sample these foods and to also then store the value, the expected value of these foods, and then to also stir myself towards basically the right food. So sometimes I'm thinking like, oh, I want to eat eggs now, and then I just have a little bit of egg powder, for example. Or sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm more like plant protein, and then what I eat is plant protein. So I try to kind of be in an exchange with my body, and this seems to work to a certain extent quite well compared to, well, just eating Snickers. Now, I do have protein powders in here. So currently I do have 3 distinct protein powders, not distinct, but separate protein powders, or different protein powders would be the right word. I have beef protein, which is made out of beef. Then we have whey protein, which is made out of milk, and we have also vegan protein. The vegan protein is a blend out of different proteins, such as flaxseed, such as pumpkin seed protein. So in a certain way, it is similar to a meal shake Huel, but I wanted to have a high protein, maybe a little bit of fat, so kind of ketogenic, but not so much fat, a version of a meal shake anyway. And Huel also did not really fulfill this. Huel has the black version, but the black version also still had too many carbs for my taste, not specifically for my taste, but it seemed to be that my body had kind of a reaction to it, which is not specific to Huel. It is just specific, I think, to me being somewhat sensitive to carbohydrates, or to certain carbohydrates. I haven't exactly pinned down the issue. Now, therefore, I also, in terms of cost, for 30 euros or 31 euros 50, I get a bag of Huel, which is 1.35 kilograms, and this 2.5 kilograms of bulk vegan protein is 2.5 kilograms, so it's almost twice the amount, and I get it usually for 38 euros. So it's not twice the price, but almost twice as much weight. So the main thing I would be needing would be protein anyway, if one could reduce carbohydrates to 0, let's just say, and also the fats. The fats come with food anyway, so I don't necessarily pay attention to getting in additional fats. I try to eat mostly lean protein. So this is also the reason I then have 3 different protein powders for basically my meal shakes. I now have different meal shakes. I also have a morning drink, which is made out of ingredients that are to a certain extent recommended by the other nutritional recommendations based on my blood work provided by InsideTracker, and I update them currently once yearly. I did the first blood draw in December. And now, for my meal shakes, I also recently added eggs. I did not find so there is a cheaper version of egg powder. In terms of the price of egg powder, I was quite surprised that at least the cheaper version, not this one, so the cheaper version sold for 8 euros per 500 grams of egg powder, and 500 grams of egg powder were the equivalent of 8 boxes of eggs, I think. So 100 grams of egg powder are, I think, 8 eggs, and so 1 box of eggs costs 2 euros, and so it basically was the same in terms of price. But then once I rebought, I also paid an additional 50 cents, which would then be a slightly higher price. But I also do have to buy the eggs at the grocery store. Now, so basically here they are delivered basically to my door, but only in theory, because practically, at least the old seller of the egg powder, they didn't deliver it with Amazon. They delivered it with a different service, which usually doesn't deliver to my door, but instead to a packing station, because they often don't deliver to the door, which then means it lands somewhere in the city, and I have to fetch it during working hours, which seems to be ridiculous, and a ridiculous time use. Now, therefore I switched to this. This is the only one that seems to be available and at a reasonable price with Subscribe and Save. Not all products on Amazon are available with Subscribe and Save. And also sometimes if items are not available, for example this protein powder, this creatine, I actually bought already a couple of times, but sometimes it was unavailable. And sometimes I saw in the past already that I could subscribe to it. So I assume that if a product doesn't have a certain shelf stock basically, then they don't put it on Subscribe and Save. On Subscribe and Save. But if you then are subscribed, then you basically have a priority access to whatever is on the shelf. So I also subscribe to this. I just put the frequency in a way that it would be very large. So in this case, 1 every 6 months. And once you are subscribed, you then can change the frequency as well as the delivery date also for all products combined. So currently I have all of these products to be delivered on the last day of the month each. And so I get them monthly or in whatever frequency they are delivered. So I already have and can see basically all the deliveries until the rest of the year. Now, an additional thing is, so first of all, the bulk protein here sells on the website of Bulk also. But the website of Bulk often runs discount schemes, which seem to be somewhat intransparent to me, which also seem to have caused basically the responsibility problem of then optimizing my purchases towards whenever they would run 80% discount and not sell the same protein powder, which usually sells for 42, 43 euros in terms of the whey protein, let's just say, for 80 euros or for 65 euros or something like this, which I mean, everybody is financially constrained to a certain extent, and even if one is not, it still would make sense to not buy a protein powder which sells for half the price for twice the price. And so I don't know if I got the order of these things wrong currently. So the order of the example I just used. So it obviously makes sense to buy products whenever they are the cheapest in order to reduce basically costs. Now, I switched to Amazon, and on Amazon they sell at a slightly higher price. So the whey protein sells at I think 45 euros, the vegan protein also 42 euros, and in bulk I sometimes got it for 49 euros, but I only sometimes got it. And I also had to order again and again, and basically every couple of days take a look at the bulk website in order to see whether they would be running a discount, and then sometimes they would be running a discount, but then I did not get all the different products, so I had to wait until some products were again in stock, such that I then could order all of these products and get one delivery, because every delivery also needs to be above a certain threshold in order to have basically not additional shipping costs. So I switched to Amazon, and Amazon also now applies a discount. So when for example, the last delivery was 3 or 4 bags of whey protein, because I just happened to need more whey protein. And there I got, I think, 10 or 15% discount on the price. So this means while the products have kind of a higher price, that they are reduced. What also is a kind of negative aspect of this is that you don't see the prices in here. And you also don't see the prices anywhere else really. You only see the prices when they appear then on your transactions in your bank account, for example. And also if you click a couple of times on these deliveries, and then you can see the prices. But it is kind of made intransparent. It's like, oh yeah, you save money with this, and it's 15% or it's 10% and it's maximally saved, but we don't show you the price this actually sells for. Of course you can get on the price, but it is just I think a version, or maybe a light version of a dark pattern or a dark design here.